Welcome to the Visionary Spotlight, an interview series highlighting business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs who are visionaries in their fields. They're leading their industries with a track record of excellence and remarkable work. In these conversations, we learn a few of the key steps on each visionary's road to success, how they grew the business, reached their best customers, and what they've learned along the way. I'm Emily Hammel-Shaver of Lumos Communications, and today I am thrilled to be speaking with Zach Morris, restaurateur and owner of Bloomsday Cafe, a wine-focused bar, shop, and restaurant in Philadelphia. Bloomsday Cafe is known for its beautiful space, inclusive culture, local and sustainable sourcing, and for having a great sense of humor while staying serious about impeccable quality and service. Zach, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you today to the Visionary Spotlight.
Thank you very much, Emily. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Well, as I was thinking about your work, the words cafe, restaurant, bar, wine bar can't really communicate the depth of your vision and mission, really the heart that you've brought to Bloomsday. And you have another endeavor, Green Engine Cafe in Haverford, Pennsylvania. So tell us more about that, like the heart and your vision behind Bloomsday and what you're really known for over there.
Yeah, so I think in both places, even though they're different businesses in a way, we treat them quite similarly. They're neighborhood spots. I mean, above all, what we set out to do was become indelible, sort of something that's almost necessity for food and beverage in a neighborhood. So, before we rent a space, we looked at what's around here, who's going to be coming in. Both places are at sort of a physical crossroads, in their neighborhoods. There are people passing through. So above all, that's what we strive to be, is a neighborhood spot. Both places are also sort of, I guess the voice is sort of jovial, non-serious. While I don't dislike the opportunity to dine at, fine dining, white tablecloth, Michelin star, that stuff's great. It's not me.
Yeah.
Jeans and a t-shirt, everybody's welcome, come as you are. That's sort of our mentality.
Yeah. Well, and I think to be a true neighborhood spot, there is that sense of welcoming and sort of being something that is bigger than a place you just run in and out of for a coffee, or a place that is a really, really special occasion, like a Michelin star. There's sort of the sense is this is a place where you want to be a regular there, and then not only do you want to be a regular there, but you feel like you're welcomed as one. And yes. I feel like you've really embodied that.
Yeah, and I think that sort of one of the ways to do that is who you hire, and just knowing that we've hired a good person. I think there's really no prerequisite for working in restaurants and hospitality than just being a good person. You sort of give more than you get, in a sense. Which is a tough burden for some people, but some people carry that really well. And, like you mentioned, you feel like you're regular when you get there, even if you're new. I think being able to disarm people, because there's skepticism, we're natural skeptics. That's sort of, a sign of the species. And when people walk into a new place, there's, a sense of unsure, people lack confidence. And so when you're stepping into a new space, I think that's sort of our specialty, is being welcoming, being kind of a comfort spot, comfort food.
Yeah, that's so true about the skepticism, especially when a spot is as gorgeous as you have curated. Like Bloomsday is just beyond beautiful. And then Green Engine is also gorgeous. And you had said this idea of like walking into a spot and you're a little bit skeptical. And I think I've told you the story before, but I went to Green Engine and it was my first time there. It's, there's this beautiful fern wall. There's like really cool art. And I'd ordered whatever I'd ordered. And I was wandering around and had not paid attention to the fact that the barista had like made my latte or whatever it was and put it on the counter. And I'm Instagramming things and then wandered over and realized my drink was there. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't notice this. And he was like, no problem. If it's too cold, let me know and I'll make you another one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how, if we imparted that on people, or we've just sort of struck gold with some of the people that we hired. But yeah, that's a
Yeah.
general mentality, I think, with our whole team.
Yeah, it's not stuffy. You don't like, yeah, yeah. And we'll talk more about culture a little later.
Too, like coffee shops, they have an element. There is one gear that moves at full tilt, and people want coffee fast.
Yeah,
And I think we sort of balance both of those things that are in a coffee shop. We have people that stay for hours at a time, and I've known some coffee shop owners and managers that they don't like it when people stay, and I've always thought the opposite. The longer people stay, it means they want to be there. That means they'd be willing to spend more money. It's our job to figure out what they want.
yeah, yeah, right. There's like a turnover piece, but there's also the more you stay and hang out, the more you're then like, well, I'm here ready for lunch, and you're getting a sandwich, or yeah. Well, let's shift gears back to Bloomsday. So I know, so you all opened in 2019, and then of course, less than a year later, there's a global pandemic, and the restaurant industry is already a notoriously challenging one to succeed in.
That made a new element of difficulty.
Right. And you've clearly got staying power. And I know that it's not luck. So tell me one or two of the more meaningful actions that you took to grow the business since opening.
Well, I mean, so Bloomsday opened, shortly before the pandemic. So we didn't even have much time to become, to fully mature. One of the things that we changed, we opened with a wine shop. And because of the pandemic, we became even more of a wine shop. Our goal was to have people to sort of be indispensable. Like I said before, it's a neighborhood spot. What do you need in a neighborhood? If you've got disposable income, you spend it on food and beverage, and more in food and beverage, and you'll do it again and again. And to be a wine shop in Philadelphia at the time, this is 3 years ago, was still a bit of a novelty. Now everybody became a wine shop in the pandemic, but that was a big decision for us. We were unsure if it was going to be successful, but I always thought, even though the business model of a wine shop in Pennsylvania is not like, if a CFO of a big company came in, they'd say, this is not a good model. You're not making a lot of money. But we looked at it as there will be some residual effect there.
Right.
If people rely on us for that, well, then they coming back for other things too.
Right. And this wasn't, so like, yes, Bloomsday is sort of diversified in terms of what they offered and were able to then sort of pivot towards during the pandemic. But again, it was your intention to be a neighborhood spot. It wasn't like, how can we be the most strategic restaurant in Head House Square? But it was, and tell us a little bit more about the wine shop too, because it's not just like walking into your local wine and spirits, whatever that liquor store is. Yeah.
Right. I always think that any specialty item like that, you could compare it to like folk art, right?
Yes.
If you're buying folk art, you could just pick up something for $5 at a flea market. But if you met the person that created it, you're going to spend more. You're going to spend more time with it. You're going to feel emotionally invested in it. And that's sort of wine. Wine's like a bit of agriculture, which I think there's obviously a growing respect for agriculture, good agriculture. People are more connected to how things are created, things that they eat and drink. And then there's the artisanal approach of those agriculturalists. And sort of that combination, it's a difficult concept for people to fully digest unless there's somebody there saying, well, this wine came from this person who has a philosophy of such and such and is from this culture. And if you sort of build that little story, it adds meaning where there was none. And you can do the same thing with coffee and food. But wine was always, I think, for almost like 1,000 years now, has been owned by the very elite of any culture, and that's changing. And it's nice to sort of give it a more folksy voice.
Yeah, and there's a real sense of participating in something that is a little bit less like folk art is like, that's not reproduced a bazillion times, like, and a bottle of wine that you're getting, maybe there are tons of those bottles out in the world. Yeah, but there's a sense that it's like you've been really thoughtful about what you're selling, what you're offering, you're excited about it. In lots of cases, you've talked to the producers, or like because you're so passionate about the story and the provenance and the production of it, that really shines through. And so people feel like they're connected to all of that when they're, popping into this little wine shop, or you've got like a great Instagram post recently about somebody, you're pouring the wine outside the window and it's spilling all over somebody's hand. And I know one of your mottos is like, we rarely spill. It's like that. Yeah.
We're a big mess, all of us sometimes.
Yeah.
Happy to admit it.
Yeah. Spirit is really apparent.
Yeah. And keeping that sense of self-deprecation, I think, is important, especially in wine, especially in fine dining. It's not dumbing it down, it's just dressing it down a little bit.
Yeah, making it a little bit more accessible, more fun. Yeah.
It should be fun. I mean, I was an anthropology student in college, and you learn about this period in time when and these like physical artifacts and these bits of culture, and wine is sort of like at some point necessity. It's also a bit of culture and like ritual. But there's a period in time when booze is like, if you don't have it, like the water will kill you. In that place anymore. And so now it's just purely indulgence.
Right.
And so reminding people that it's not so serious anymore. It's supposed to be fun. I think a newer group of consumers, young and old, this is not a generational thing. In fact, I hate when people inject generation into this concept, but young and old, new consumers, people that have come to food and beverage recently, are really curious bunch. And I do think that curiosity, if you're attracting those people, well then, you've set aside the fear of whether it's spending money or not knowing something. And it creates an environment where, the business mind is very happy because people aren't thinking about what they're spending, maybe.
Right.
They're finding other value in things besides, well, what did I get for my $20? Right.
Right.
You get a whole experience, and the experience doesn't stop once you've consumed it. It's before, during, and after.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. So tell us what works best for you to reach those ideal customers, young and old, those people who are curious and they know it's a full experience, or they're wanting to have one.
Social media is a big part of this. Young and old people are on social media, believe it or not. And so if my voice is sort of, and all of our Instagram, like the large majority of it is just me trying to find my voice that is digestible for all. And yeah, it's free. I mean, it costs me time, but I invest a lot of time in it, and it's a great venue to show people that this stuff's not so scary. In fact, it's really, really fun. Yeah.
And you show up in such an approachable way, and it's so clear you're having a good time. And I know that is a major investment of your time too. And actually, that's my next question is, what are a couple of the most valuable investments you've made in your marketing? And like, time is certainly a resource to be invested.
Yep. So generally the first place that people experience your business now is via your website and or social media. And so those two things, I mean, well, you know this, you helped us with our website, and it is beautiful. It is simple. It captures our voice very quickly. And then it has, avenues for people to go to find how they can interact with us and do business with us. Right. And the other thing I think is a PR team. So inside my own head, I might sound a certain way. I might be focusing too much on my own shortcomings. If you're not a very confident person, and I'm not an alpha, then you're going to need somebody else to be a sounding board. And so, when we built our website with you, going through that copy and trying to figure out, well, what do I really want to sound like to people? And when I'm being authentic, what do I sound like? And since then we've hired a PR team that we've been with since we opened Green Engine, and then we use them for Bloomsday as well. And they're the kind of people I like. And they listen. And then they take their time to give me feedback. And it gives me confidence. It's sort of they're my confidant. They're like my therapist, my
Yeah.
wine and food restaurant world therapist.
Yeah.
And then I think the other thing that we've invested in marketing wise is a good camera.
Yeah.
If the iPhone is great, but there are times when it reaches limitations. And then everybody has a ring light now, right?
Yeah.
You need to be able to create some sort of ambiance if it's not there. If you need something to promote right before the day starts at your restaurant and you don't have those very simple tools, they cost a little bit, but they show massive returns, I think.
So what is that what you use, a ring light for lighting?
So I actually have, it's not technically a ring light, but it's looking at me right now. So that I have good lighting in this room. It's just a cheap $20 like lamp that it's LED. And it, you can adjust the dimmer and the warmth of it.
Cool.
Yeah, it really, really works.
And is it on right now? Because it's not reflecting in your glasses.
Right. Yeah. So it's a pretty good light for $20.
Holy grail is what it sounds like.
Yeah. And there's tons of them on Amazon. Yeah.
Cool. That's very, practical. And I think that's so great is a valuable investment can be a PR team, which by the way, your team is great. Just last year you were in Food and Wine magazine. Or it could be something as practical as get a great camera and invest in a decent light.
Yeah. And then there's so many DIY like tutorials online, whether it's a photography blogger to teach you how to take stills of food and beverage. There's so much information out there. So that a fool like me who, I never took photography classes except maybe, I think I took one in like 10th grade and I probably retained none of it. But there's so much information out there to help you develop this skill.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, curiosity, always a great quality to have. Well, my next question is about your team and culture, and what you keep in mind. What are your priorities when you're hiring, when you're thinking about the atmosphere that you want, not only for the people coming into, say, Bloomsday, but like on your team as people are collaborating and working together?
Sure. Whether I meet somebody who I think thinking about working with them or not, I think we're always sort of casting a little bit of light judgment on people. And one of the things, since I've become a parent, everything changes, they say, right? And the thing that changed for me was, how are people going to treat my children? And then if you cast a broader view of that, how is this person in front of me? How are they going to treat each type of person? Right? I think that's the prerequisite to being a good team member in any business. If you have employees, if you have business partners, you need to be able to sort of discern very quickly how this person I'm going to be working with, how are they going to treat everybody? Unless it's a very skilled industry type of labor, if I can sort of turn on my BS meter when I meet somebody and, kind of figure him out, using like primal animal instincts to see, is this a good person? If they are, I think we can work with that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting. What you had said about your PR team is like they listen to you also. So it's like, it really applies across the board. It's who your collaborators are that are representing you outward. I guess that's what a team is too, especially in a service industry, is they are people who are representing what you stand for out into the world. And
yeah, the word team gets tossed around a lot. I played a lot of sports at a very low level, and my children play sports, and I love watching sports. I'm a fan. And you can cast that sports analogy across any business as well. And I think if team is first, you find a selfless personality, a giver, then you've got a good teammate.
Right. And people who are like, I also played soccer at a very, very low level. But it's
Yeah.
like, I played defense. I was
Ultimate
not.
Well, I think soccer is the best because both of my kids play soccer. I played soccer growing up, and I watch a ton of soccer. And the beautiful thing about it is all you need is a ball. The concept is very clear. You put the ball over there, you win. Over there, you have a chance of winning. So, playing that defensive mindset with an occasional attack when you're organized enough, and everybody plays a different role, but fundamentally, you're just advancing forward. I mean, I love sports analogies, especially.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting to me because I was like, as a 12-year-old, I was not an offender, but I was a pretty solid defender. And so having the right people playing at the right spot in the field, understanding like you got to pass to make it up the field, and you're all working towards
the goal, but everybody caused the. I love that.
Yeah. Well, soccer. It is it is the best sport.
If I 1 minute, my dog is like whining, and I don't want her to like stand there like upset.
Sure. Yeah.
She's an old dog, and she has some quirks and some needs. So I just want to make sure I don't neglect her.
Yeah, that describes me as well. Like, I also have quirks and needs. That's how we love our dogs. Yeah. Okay. Well, tell us one thing that you wish you'd learned sooner as an entrepreneur.
I can think of one thing right off the bat. This is a very fundamental and kind of a boring answer, but bookkeeping.
Oh.
So as a business owner, if you've never owned a business before and you've just worked in a business, you don't see how the sausage is made. Yeah. The gears that are grinding behind the scene are a bunch of tiny little transactions in and out of accounts. And it is a massive burden. There's a lot of work to do there. Yeah. And the more time you can spend like looking over that and seeing where you have weaknesses, the better business owner you are. And it's still a weakness of mine, but I'm getting better at it. The financial side of things, if you did not study finance, work in finance and accounting, it can seem really boring. You got to find some way to find the excitement when those numbers are working in your favor and getting you into the net positive.
So in other words, you learned not only to like maybe delegate bookkeeping to an expert, but really to be able to understand it yourself so that you have a true sense of what's going on in your business.
Yeah, just keeping your account square and whole. There are so many tax burdens on a small business that you don't know about when you sign up. You've got a great business idea. It's going to work in your heart of hearts. And the roadblocks to that are many. But a big one that's not a fun one is reconciling those accounts and making sure things are paid on time. And so, I do have a bookkeeping team, and they do a great job. But if I just push it off and don't understand it, then I'm missing an opportunity to understand the total picture of the business and to be a responsible business owner. So
that's great. I love that. That's so practical and so true. Right. Yeah. To be able to
practice. It's boring, but it's essential.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. What are some of your favorite non-negotiable ingredients for living a good life?
Wine. And I mean wine in its total package. My wife and I, we take our kids everywhere, take them to all the wineries that we want to go to, or that I want to go to. We travel a bunch. We enjoy travel. But all that travel is structured around, I want to go somewhere where they're producing some kind of food stuff, usually booze. And so that's non-negotiable. If we're planning a trip somewhere and they don't produce something, artisanal that's old and has like a reason to exist there, then I'm not that interested. Yeah. I like, big, beautiful vistas, but if there's not like something be created nearby, then, it loses a little bit of that magic. So I like culture. I mean, so I'm a consumer of culture, but it all starts with wine, and it's not limited to wine, beer, cider, mead, whatever it is. They're all interesting to me. So that's a non-negotiable thing. I got to be around it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not a booze hound, but I drink it often, and it's really the curious part of my mind is interested in where things came from, who made it, and when and why. And then the sensory experience is just like, I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are your kids not with wine, but are they like starting to really like are they as interested as you are in like how things taste and where they came from? And do they appreciate that or not yet?
Yeah. If
Yeah.
they didn't, I would find a way to teach them
Mhm.
the value of that. But they, I asked them recently. I asked my older son, he's 10, where do you want to go on vacation this year? And he said somewhere new. I was like, fantastic answer. There's no limitation. We go anywhere new that we haven't been, and he'll be happy. I think that's a really
Yeah.
a cool outlook for a young person.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, they get it. They got it at a very early age, but that's because
Yeah.
it just through exposure. Um,
Yeah.
which I think
Yeah.
is important for all young people to expose them. I hear a lot of parents say, oh, we can't take our kids yet because they're too young. It'll be too difficult. I'm like, it's difficult to have a 2-year-old like at home. So you might go somewhere special.
Right. Why not go to well, Barcelona is I know one of your favorite cities, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's great. Well, finally tell us what's next for you. What's something you're really excited about?
The thing I'm most excited about is vermouth. I know anybody who knows me knows that I've been an amateur vermouth maker for a long time. And I'm excited to do it as not a professional, but a like commercial venture. So we have a brand built up. I mean, if you look at Bloomsday, it has a brand that it started to actually market during the pandemic called Dumpster Juice, and that's sort of like just a humorous way to introduce a serious topic. Vermouth is serious, but it's vermouth is the ultimate like waste streamed product.
Right.
Um, and I'm a consumer. I try not to waste. I do my best. I'm still learning to do better. And I like vermouth as like a playful way to present the idea of like, you can create something really beautiful from cast off. I think
Right.
that's really cool. Also, vermouth is delicious. And then the culture that surrounds vermouth is, there's many places in the world that drink vermouth, but most people that know me also know that I love Catalan culture. In Catalonia, they're always drinking vermouth. It's a pastime. It's more than just a beverage, and I
Yeah.
love that. I love the culture that's around it. I love the food that's
Mm.
around it and the people.
I know that your small batches just are continually selling out very quickly. Do you have one? What would be the term? Fermenting? Is that what it's doing right now?
You can ferment, but
Okay.
so because of the laws in Pennsylvania,
Mm.
we are not currently fermenting anything. It has to. You're essentially blending. We're buying
Mm.
finished wine, and we're making essentially a cocktail, an aged cocktail.
Ah,
That's legally what we're allowed to do. But the
gotcha.
most recent batch, we actually produced it as a collaborator at a licensed Pennsylvania winery. So it was all produced there, bottled there, labeled there. It was owned by the winery and then sold to us, so that we could then retail it to our customers.
Awesome. And this is a current edition available now?
Uh, there might be like 1 or 2 bottles left
Okay.
in the house, but yeah, it's sold out quickly. There
Yeah.
might be like we usually like save a few library bottles just in case some like friends are around and like, oh, I didn't get to try it. Like we might have some.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
if
So
you stop by at some point, we will have some form of vermouth that we made for you.
awesome. So, and people can follow at Dumpster Juice to
Yeah,
find out about future batches.
Vermut. Yeah.
Oh, Vermut.
The actual Dumpster Juice, I believe it's owned by some like band that is no longer active somewhere in Texas, maybe. I'll
Well,
try to get it someday. We'll see if they want it.
and Dumpster Juice Vermut has a really solid ring to it as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, it explains what it is.
Exactly. And to stay in touch, so there's at Bloomsday Cafe, and then is it at Green Engine Coffee Co?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Zach, thank you.
Green Engine. I got the premium.
Oh, just you got okay. You didn't have to describe what that one was. I'll make sure those are included below so people can find you, follow you, and if they are in the Philly or Haverford mainline area, get themselves to Bloomsday, get themselves to Green Engine and enjoy.
Yeah, wonderful. We like meeting new people all the time.
Awesome. Well, Zach, thank you so much for sharing your experience. I really appreciated it. And this was so
Hey,
fun.
thank you, Emily. It was a lot of fun.
You're welcome. And thank you for watching. Until next time.